There is still a bit of counting to be done, but at the moment, here's what the national figures are looking like. Around about a 60% vote for no and a 40% vote in favour. That might shift a little bit as the count continues, but it's certainly, not going to change dramatically from there. This is what the state results look like, ordered from the jurisdiction with the most support for the voice down to the bottom, the ACT, the only state or territory to vote yes. Pretty convincingly, with 61% of the vote in favour. Victoria is the state that's come closest to voting yes. Then you have New South Wales and Tasmania. You've got the Northern Territory sitting at about 38.3%. Interesting patterns in the top end. The urban areas have voted no, while the remote booths, the mobile remote polling booths that visited Indigenous communities in the Northern Territory have largely voted yes. You've got Western Australia on 36.5%, South Australia with 35.6% for yes, and Queensland sitting at the bottom at the moment on 31.5% support, so less than a third support for the voice in Queensland.
Now, Casey, we had every state voting no. Did any part of Australia vote yes?
Yeah, so the national votes are no, the states are all no, but there are pockets of Australia that have voted yes. When you look at the electorates across the country, it's a list of about, a number in the low 30s. It might shift a little bit. I'll just take you through some of them. Melbourne, 78% of voters have voted yes. That is the seat of the federal Greens leader, Adam Bandt. The second one on the list is Grayndler. That's the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese's seat. About 3/4 of people have voted yes. And then you'll see a bit of a pattern here. Sydney has voted yes. Canberra, Cooper, McNamara. These are all inner city electorates. As well as that, we have Wentworth, a seat held by an Teal independent in Sydney. We have Kooyong, held by Monique Ryan. We have North Sydney, Warringah, all inner city areas. A lot of them held by Labor and crossbench members, and we can continue all the way down the list. This one here, Bradfield, that's the only Liberal-held seat that looks to, or at least is leaning toward, voting yes in this referendum. That's a seat on the North Shore of Sydney. It's held by frontbencher Paul Fletcher. I just want to show you a couple of other looks at this. We're talking about the demographics of the seats that have voted yes. Every seat held by a Teal independent has voted yes. Every seat where the Greens do well, more than 20% of the vote in the last election, have also voted yes. They're the pockets of yes in a national picture that is, a national map that is bright orange. Virtually all regional areas have voted no, and that includes this seat here, the seat of Maranoa. That's the other extreme, the seat that has voted with the most strongly against the voice, just 15.9% support. And that is the seat of another party leader. That's David Littleproud, the Nationals leader's seat.
So, Casey, in looking at these voting patterns, what are they telling us?
Yeah, what's really interesting, when you look at the patterns within those pockets of yes, I'll just show you two cities, Sydney and Melbourne. Sydney, we have this pattern where the inner Sydney seats and the sort of northern beaches seats held by Teal independents have voted yes. The entire west of the city voting no, including Linda Burney, the Indigenous Affairs Minister's seat, and the seat of Barara, which is the seat of the former shadow Indigenous Affairs spokesman Julian Leeser, who of course resigned from the front bench to campaign in favour of this proposal. Melbourne, same kind of pattern, inner city voting yes, outer suburbs voting no. There's some interesting correlations, maybe not causations that we can say just yet, but wealthier areas have been more likely to vote in favour of the voice. Younger areas, more likely to vote in favour of the voice. Areas with higher levels of education, more likely to vote in favour of the voice. And the other interesting one, Miriam, these results mirror very closely the results of our last national constitutional referendum, the one in 1999 about whether Australia should become a republic. There's only about maybe 2 dozen seats across the country that have voted differently to the way they did in 1999. It's actually quite remarkable just how similar these results have turned out to be. So a lot of unpicking of results there, but what we've seen when this mirror has been reflected back at Australia in the aftermath of this vote is a really big difference between different demographics in different parts of this country.